Tune those fiddles, floss that tooth, and uncork that moonshine. The Lovecraft Country Time Jamboree is back. Every week I'll be taking a look at each episode from the biggest horror series of 2020 as it drops. There'll be spoilers from here on out, but I'll try to keep them on the minimal. So there you go. You've been warned. Let's get to it.
Young Sagat.
Welcome back to ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. While you might be watching this video on the Kings of Horror Network, I urge you to click over to my ML Miller Frights page and give it a like, share with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to see these videos before anyone else. Let's get the word out about both the Kings of Horror Network and ML Miller Frights so we can make both those channels bigger and better. Another week goes by, which means we have another episode of Lovecraft Country. This week's episode is directed by actress Helen, who starred in The Believers, The Amityville Horror, among others, but also proves to be a talented director of TV shows like Orphan Black, Vikings, Law & Order SVU, and others. So she's had quite a bit of experience behind the camera with episodic storytelling. This episode is called Meet Me at Daegu, and the entirety of it takes place in flashback, first in 1949 and then in 1950. This was back when Tick, played by Jonathan Majors, was in the military overseas during the Korean War. And it's also where we finally meet Ji-ah, played by Jamie Chung. Ji-ah is Tick's former girlfriend, who he fought in a hallucination a couple episodes ago and talked with a couple of times for a few foreboding phone calls. The episode begins with Ji-ah studying to be a nurse and struggling to bring a good reputation back to their family. At first, it seems like Ji-ah's mother wants her to bring home a husband, but as usual, nothing is as it seems, as Ji-ah is possessed by a Kumiho spirit, which is a nine-tailed fox spirit in Korean lore. This spirit inhabited Ji-ah after her mother's suitor raped her long ago. Now Ji-ah must take 100 souls in order to lift the curse and bring back her soul. I know it all sounds like the stuff of a bad fairy tale, but it all works out in this episode because the plot is so richly themed. The story is about the stigma of rape and how Ji-ah changed in the eyes of her mother after she was victimized by her husband. While the victimization is given a monstrous form during some of the best rendered tentacle porn you're ever going to see, the themes are still pretty apparent as her mother feels her daughter was taken the night she was raped, and that some unattainable goal is going to fix things and make it all better. The story is about Ji-ah eventually sees through that facade and learns to live with herself the way she is. Now, Tick doesn't really appear until halfway through the episode, but I didn't really miss him. Jamie Chung is given center stage and the chance to dazzle here, and I'm sure hoping that she'll be showing up in the present time during this series. Every moment she was on screen, you fall in love with this tragic character who, like Tick, who delves into books to escape, Ji-ah dives into films to do the same thing. When Tick and Ji-ah do connect, it's complicated and twisted, which makes their road to falling in love all the more interesting to watch. I won't spoil it with the details, but somehow it all works. There are times when the melodrama is cranked on high, but still, this was a moving episode that not only develops a rich character in Ji-ah, but it really does solidify why she and Tick were able to form a strong love despite formidable odds. Anyone who's in the Tick and Letty camp are going to find themselves facing a lot of conflicting feelings, as Tick and Ji-ah make for a potently powerful match. There are a few CG moments that bookend Meet Me in Daegu, and while they're effectively directed, I'm really surprised at how rough they look. I would think the CG would be better in this series. I also think the build-up to Ji-ah's come-to-Jesus moment with Atticus is a bit of a letdown. The story is building to Ji-ah revealing her "I've got 9 tails coming out of every orifice" curse, and it all wraps up rather quickly, And really, the lack of closure makes for an ending that is left dangling limply. Sure, this means Jia's story is not yet finished, and we'll be seeing more of her, but in terms of endings, this episode doesn't have the strongest of ones. Still, I don't know what the appropriate way would be to tell your significant other that not only have you slept with and murdered 99 people, but you also have tails growing out of your ears, eyes, mouth, nose, and unmentionable spots. This was a thrilling episode, but I'm wondering how it's going to be received by its main audience who are watching Lovecraft Country to satiate that hunger for racism porn this series doles out in most episodes. While the subject of racism does come up in Meet Me in Daegu, it's definitely not the central theme. This is all about character, and I kind of love this episode for not going the easy route and giving a non-black character the spotlight, if only for one episode. This was a strong one, dealing with heavy topics, both fantastical and real world. Personally, I'm hoping more episodes are going to be like this one. That'll be it for today. If you like this video, please pound the thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. Don't forget about the new trade paperback for my comic book horror series, GRAVETRANCERS. It's out in all finer comic shops right now. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside